way. they, were like, they were like, you're out. And he was like,
So
he
now
didn't even know
we
what the hell it
speak.
was about.
Hold on, guys.
They ain't gonna select
What
your
up?
ass.
What up, everyone? What's up? We are going to be right with
Let's
you in
see.
just a second, niggas. Just a second. Let me turn on the volume.
Yo, yo, Josh, check that picture out, bro. And underneath the shows, hashtag shows.
What shows? Oh, oh,
Tell me
oh.
this.
Hold on.
Tell me that ain't Killer Tate. Meet the me. Terry, what's good, man?
Not much.
Yeah. Ready for the show though. Yo, Josh, check that picture out, bro.
All right, cool. All right. Hold on for a minute. Let me just do that. All right, cool. This has been an eventful week for my black ass. Welcome, everybody, to the No Filter podcast here. Bringing you oodles of entertainment today. We got 3 topics to talk about. You already know what it is. 2 gaming topics and 1 off topic. But I changed it up a little bit. The formula is a little different this time. We're going to call it Illicit Therapy. That will be that topic. So I will make it known when we are going to transition into that. But let's get this show started. I don't see everybody here, but let's go ahead and start this shit. Get our introductions. We have Hell Scream. What's going on, Hell Scream?
What's up?
Well, you've been playing Doom Eternal. How's that going out for you? How's that going for you?
Actually, really good. I'm very impressed with the image quality as well as the frame rate.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's actually a high quality um, update as it pertains to next gen. I'm pretty sure there's some back and forth shit about the PS5 and the Xbox version, but
There is.
relatively speaking, it is a very high satisfactory experience. I just started to play the expansions, so I did a playthrough of the campaign on Nightmare, and then I figured for the hell of it, I'd just kind of play through it again, just to kind of warm myself up. Doom is one of those games where when you're away from it for a while, even if you're familiar with the game and you know how to play it well, like it kind of takes you some time to kind of build up like uh, just your kind of reaction time, reflexes, strategies, stuff like that. So I just started the expansion, which is called the Ancient Gods. There's 2 parts to it, so pretty fucking crazy. Like the fights that they have, like they're
Is it difficult?
it's yes, it's
He's like,
designed
yes.
like
Yes.
so, real quick. So when you play that expansion, everything's unlocked in terms of gear and runes and upgrades. All that you're running at full capacity basically. So the combat is geared towards you having all the upgrades and all the bells and whistles on top of being an experienced player. So all the combat is designed uh, with that in mind, basically. So it is not for the faint of heart, to say the least. So
Okay. All right. Cool. Moving on to our next panel member here. We got. Actually, let me talk to Jeremy. Jeremy, what's going on with you? We haven't spoken to you in a while. Would it be?
Oh yeah, I've been busy the last couple weekends. I just doing what I do.
Yeah.
Aren't you playing a new game? What was that all about?
I'm playing. I was playing Arcade again, and I'll be playing that later too when I'm off of here.
And what kind of game
But
is it again?
playing RDR2 too. I haven't played the multiplayer yet, but it was one of the ones that was at State of Play, and it's got haptics and the controls are really good, really fast, good frame rate and stuff. It just feels great. The music's cool. Want to get into a multiplayer match later. Tell you more about it after that.
You say it was what kind of game? I'm sorry, my bad.
It's single player and it's
No.
it's
What,
kind
what
of like
genre?
a
What genre? My bad.
I don't know, like a multiplayer third person over the shoulder shooter kind
Okay,
of
okay. So it's a shooter.
like
Okay.
like cartoon like graphics, kind of like Fortnite, but different. I don't know. It's got a different kind of art style. It's pretty cool though. You've seen the state of play. You've seen a little bit of it, but it looked better when you
I did
actually
see that.
playing
I
it.
was peeping it, but I didn't know I didn't know it was out. I'll look into it.
Yeah, it's early access. It's $20, and they got
Okay.
a whole year roadmap of stuff they're gonna add every season. So there's
Now,
stuff coming out the summer, fall, winter, and spring.
now it's a good thing that you mentioned that because I'm actually going to be talking about games as a service. That's one of the subjects. But before we even jump into that, Magnificent Black, what's good with you, man?
What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? I mean, I've been chilling, man. I platinum Guilty Gear Strive recently. That's the best fighting game on earth right now.
Yo,
And
preach, yo, for real, like
let's
really,
go.
like for real,
It's an amazing game, man. And yeah, everybody should pick it up. Everybody and their mama
and
should
learn
get a
and learn
copy.
it and learn
Me
it
too.
because you will definitely get entertainment out of that shit for sure. It's a good game.
Oh God.
Oh God.
Oh, I'm one trophy away from platinum and
Whoa,
returnal.
whoa, whoa,
So
whoa, whoa.
I wish me good luck because this shit, like the last 10 or several runs, man, it's been crazy. I ain't
Yeah,
been getting nothing.
you don't want to give it.
Sling won't give me my satisfaction, my safe place. Oh God.
You know, I doubt that you will find a safe space. So after you beat that game,
Yo, facts.
you know what I mean by that. So
I'm trying to end the cycle the real way though.
yeah, that shit is well.
That's
So as you
that's what's
know,
going
I
on though.
am the No Filter podcast host, Josh, and I have been trying to chip away at um, Returnal. I've been playing other games. I've been really going real hard into the Guilty Gear game. I haven't played a game like that before. I've had the other Guilty Gears, and everybody seems to be a little punk ass pussy bitch, playing that game. They scared as shit to get the ass whooped. So, but I've been getting into it. It's been pretty good. It's been pretty good. Aside from that, I had some issues with some legal issues. I'm glad that I spoke to Magnificent Black about that shit too. As you already know, like 18 months ago, I got into an accident, and I thought everything was fine. Even when I totaled my car, everything was kind of squared away. And this raggedy ass, old ass bitch comes sliding through trying to sue me. So, but that's okay though. Fuck that hoe. So, so I gotta
Oh, raggedy.
raggedy bitch. She didn't even get carted away, yo. You gonna come at 18 months later, it's almost on my neck, my back, yo. If you don't get the fuck out of here. Either way. So we are going to dive right into these topics here. So the first two gaming topics, right, will be what is so bad about games as a service. We're going to kind of break down the different types of games as a service, or live service games. Our second topic is going to be about why are indie games hated? Because there's just been some just complete animosity with state of plays that had indie games. People were like really, really like, whoa, come on, oh fuck, come on, Sony, why you gotta show these fucking indie games? Come on, so AAA, that's it. So we're gonna discuss why people feel that way about indie games, and then we're gonna close out this show with our off-topic illicit therapy on relationship roles, as you already know. So let's begin. So the first thing I want to do is kind of discuss the different games of service, just so we will know, because as much people bitch and complain about games as a service, y'all motherfuckers were already playing games as a service games and didn't even know it. You were already in the games as a service umbrella, and I'll explain. So I did some research as to what types of games as a service there are, and then one of the ones is the console/premium pay to play games. Now these are big games that make noise this fall, like the latest Call of Duty, Battlefield, Smash Brothers. Now the reason why this is a games as a service is because, well, you need online, for at least for the console people, you have to pay the online service, PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live, to even play them. They get updated with DLC, and you have to pay some more. And then the next season or the next year, you start over again with this shit. The second one is the PC pay to play online, and these games are a lot like what Jeremy was talking about. What was that game called, Jeremy?
Arcade again.
Yeah. So you have those particular games where they are um, early access games. You pay like a small fee, or not a small fee. You pay a small amount, like $20, and then the game evolves, and they try to get you to buy certain things, Warframe, stuff like that. Then you have the actual, model of pay to play, which is Xbox Live, the Nintendo service, um, and play a PS Plus. I don't know if you fucking know this, but that is a fucking games as a service. That whole system is a games as a service. Because you have to play the service to play those games, mobile games as a service. This is like Candy Crush and shit like that. Then you have and I'll try to speed this up. You have the other low end games, PC low end games as a service. This is, let's take a look here. Business with video game reports article. There's like hybrid games, like they're like cell phone games and PC games kind of put together. I think you can play Candy Crush on the PC as well. And then you have games that are like World of Warcraft and stuff like that. So, knowing that, I'm going to go straight to Jeremy with this. Now, you said you played a little bit of this game as a service, right? How do you feel?
I don't know if it's a service game or not.
Oh, it will be.
I haven't seen no. Maybe I don't know. I can't buy it right now.
If it's an early access game, they usually are games as a service. But regardless of the matter, that's why I gave the examples just so we know where we stand. How do you feel about the game as you're playing it now? What you've played so far?
I like it. Feels good. I haven't been in a multiplayer match yet. That's a big thing. So
right. So that's another thing too. Multiplayer games, they have to constantly, switch things up and get you to be interested. Do you have a problem with the
you
model?
can play solo too on it.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about the model of how they have things structured?
Of which? Oh yeah. Okay, which game? Of this game though?
Yeah, the game that you're playing now.
I don't really know the structure. They just have a map of stuff. They're gonna just add new guns and stuff to it.
Yeah.
So, and costumes and stuff or
Right.
whatever.
So
I can't remember what it's all.
So do you have a problem with that though?
I don't know. It doesn't say nothing about no price, so I don't really know a lot about. It's probably gonna cost more the later you jump into the game.
But do you think the what you paid so far, the $20, and them updating the game, so far do you like the gameplay? Does it feel like a weak gameplay so far? Hello?
I think there was some breakup there.
I don't know, man. I was trying to get something from me. I got pulled teeth, man. Come on, bro. I'm gonna go straight to Hellscream. Hellscream. Now you play Warframe. That's another type of games as a service, and I know.
Sorry, you broke up.
So before I kind of give my opinion piece, if anybody who's watching or anyone part of the podcast, there is a channel. If I remember correctly, it's called Accursed Farms.
Nigga, are you
I believe
promoting
it's
another
channel
YouTube
name.
channel on my channel?
No, just shut up and listen, okay? The title of the video is called Game Service or Games as a Service is Fraud. Is the title of the video.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Games as a Service is Fraud. It's like an hour long, but it's a fantastic video that goes into that in the nitty-gritty detail if you're interested. But
Well,
Games as a Service,
yeah.
it's you have multiple types, right? So first example, as you mentioned, free to play, which would be something like Warframe. Another one would be like an MMO in the classical sense of something like World of Warcraft, right? You buy the game, you pay a monthly subscription, and then over time, the developer adds content, so on and so forth. And then you kind of have like a hybrid, which I would probably say Destiny is probably in that category in the sense that it's like you buy the game, you're not really paying a subscription, but then the post launch content, right? All the DLC, all the shit they're adding. Um, there's so much of it, or the content being added is so vast. It's like you kind of have to buy it, right, to kind of participate in the active community, so on and so forth. Otherwise, you kind of probably be blocked out of fucking, playing with other people, because everyone else is moving on to the new shit. But games as a service, that idea, it sounds kind of silly in the sense that, like, like water or electricity or whatever. You have a company that provides a service, it's a continuous service, and then of course, you pay them, a continuous fee, whatever your payment plan is or whatnot. The reason why it's kind of an issue with games is that it's this idea that you can have a game that basically exists forever, and you're potentially paying for it forever. Which MMOs kind of fit that category, but the way that the content works and the way that the players support the game works kind of differently compared to a typical service. Um, Now, in some cases, that kind of model could be beneficial if it is high quality content, but unfortunately, what we have seen time and time again is it's predatory, it's exploitive, you know, where you kind of end up getting a game that, like in the case of World of Warcraft, the past however many expansions, they've been hemorrhaging players because it's always like, oh, next expansion or next content patch, we'll get things right, but they never do. So it has the potential for having like a cool gaming experience, but I think MMOs already fit that bill. But the way it's used and the language there, it's always something that's exploitive or predatory. And then of course, you have games like Anthem that that was a game as a service, and look what happened. They it released, it was a disaster, and then over time, they tried to patch things or fix it, improve it, or whatnot, and then eventually the roadmap they had, they're like, oh no, we're done with it. So
Yeah, they really
I
did
just
they really did hop off the fucking train, like straight up.
yeah, yeah, it was disastrous. So for us in our time, games as a service, that language should always be treated with severe caution, because coming from the publisher, coming from the EA, the Activision's side of things, it's they're trying to fool you into think that, oh, you're going to keep giving us money, and you're going to keep playing this amazing game, which that never really tends to happen. So, I mean, is there a market? Is there a place for games that like a Warframe, like a World of Warcraft, like a Destiny or whatever? Yeah. I mean, of course there is. Otherwise, they wouldn't exist, right? But of course, the quality can become questionable. I would say probably free to play is probably your safest bet, in the sense that there's no price of entry, and then if you have like quality content, like a good example I would use is Path of Exile. um, the way that game kind of functions and how the leagues work, like, sometimes you can skip a league or two, or hell, you may not even play it for a year, but then a new league starts, so you can come back into it and you don't feel like at a disadvantage. You don't feel like you have to drop $100 bills here and there just to kind of catch up with the community, in its active states.
Now I
So
will say, so I can get Magnificent into there and see what's going on. I want to ask you about Path of Exile and the details of that one, Mister Black.
You're
How
hey,
do how do you feel about games as a service after we kind of went over the and one thing, Umar, we were actually playing. I went over games as a service, the different types of games as a service. So I've already gone over that. You just being on PlayStation or Xbox Live or any of those things, that's fucking that's all that's games as a service. It's just that because you have to pay a service fee to play those games if you want to do multiplayer. So we've been already indoctrinated into it anyway. You know what I'm saying? So there's many different types of games as a service. That being said, Magnificent Black, have you ever experienced the games as a service, and what was your experience?
I've had both good and well, pleasurable experiences and negative experiences as well with games as a service. So the ones that I liked were Paladins. I put quite a bit of time into that, and I was just discussing with one of my friends that we should go ahead and get the platinum for that because we put so much time into it. I didn't realize that I have like 70 something percent of the trophies in that game. So I was like, yeah, we probably gonna go back.
A
Destiny
trophy
number
whore.
one would be one. Yes, that's just a recent thing. Well, after Ghost of Tsushima, I kind of got like a little bit addicted to it, to like getting trophies.
You
Ghost of
just like
Tsushima
that.
being
You
my
like that
first
trophy pop sound.
platinum. Yeah, it's something about that, bling. But yeah. So Destiny and Paladins, Paragon, all of those games are games that I experienced that I felt like were really good for me. Were good games as a service experiences. Some that I had that were like okay, that didn't quite hit the mark. Anthem, of course, I put a bunch of the hours into that game, and it was like the fantasy. So you got the two types, like you said. You got the one that you got to pay a premium up front. All the ones that I had to pay a premium up front, they didn't live up to their dream. It's almost like they try to like they try to get that money up front because they weren't like confident in their product. And for me, I don't pay for games as a services anymore up front. The game has to be good. At least I try not to. The game has to be. I play the game and then I'll invest money into it if it's like a games as a service. Like so, if that game isn't like good up front and it's like it requires the online feature and all that crap. The last one that I did that they kind of got me was but I actually enjoyed the game. That was what's this game name? Damn, it just came out too. That's horrible. the It's the shooter looter thing that
Oh,
you hated.
damn. The one I was
I forgot the
blasting you
name
for.
already, bro. Yeah, the one you were blasting. I had tons of fun with that, but it's like they didn't get
But
nothing.
wait. So Hellscream, there was that one game. Oh man, that was on game. It was on Game Pass, and
Outriders, Jesus Christ.
Outriders. Yeah.
Yeah, Outriders was cool too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that game was it's a full experience. The only thing that made it feel like a games as a service is because it needed online. So it's kind of a blurred thing because like it requires online for you to play, but it's a full game. It has a full story and a campaign, and then that's it. They're not selling you anything besides that. So
Right,
it's kind of weird that it requires the online feature. But
right,
yeah, like
right.
I said, man, the ones that I feel like have a negative, like the ones it has a bad vibe around it because
It gets
people feel like
misused.
they're getting nickel and dimed. Yeah, the term gets misused a lot as well. But there are services where they nickel and dime you for everything, and then I guess it goes back to the days where no one didn't even like remember like DLC. Even DLC had like a bad vibe around it, but now it's okay. It's like this. If people should just spend their money on what they want, you know what I'm saying? So if you're not confident in the product, don't spend your money on it. If you're gonna, but you're investing your time into it. If you're putting thousands of dollars into a game, why not buy a couple of skins? You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that at all. But you just gotta be sure on what you want. Be sure of the service that you're putting your money into. If it's your hobby and you're into it, why not put some money into it? I don't feel like there's anything wrong with it. But you definitely need to do your research though before you start putting money into it.
Okay. So that was your experience. It could be pleasurable, and then people kind of jump the gun when they hear games as a service, and don't realize that you have at some point and probably enjoyed a game as a service. Jeremy,
Hmm.
have you had any experience with games as a service?
Not much. I played a little bit of Warzone. I played a lot of Destiny when it first came out, but before it came service, I had already quit. Like I was playing in a clan and shit, and I was putting a lot of hours into it, and it felt like it became a job because I had to keep up with so much for team, myself, strikes, raids, all that shit, and there was so much shit I had to keep up with to keep my score up in the clan and stuff. It just became more of a job, and I couldn't play anything else, and yeah, it just wasn't fun no more.
It
It, it
does.
became it became work.
It does suck when you if you're a full on adult and you have to work, and then all the grinding that other people do, you get back home and you're just further and further away. They just lap you basically, and it sucks. Sometimes games as a service is good. Now for um, me personally, my experience with games as a service is that I fondly remember is actually PlayStation Home. That was really big for me. I really, really enjoyed that PlayStation Home. Um, if you know how to, because again, it's if you can have a really pleasurable experience with games as a service, it's not horrible. It's fine. But there are so many people jumping, and the reason why I say this too, by the way, the way that I say it. All right, thanks, thanks, Edward. The reason why I say this, right, is because off rip, Assassin's Creed is doing Ubisoft is doing an Assassin's Creed Infinity, and they're working on the games as a service model too. Now they warned everybody that they were going to do this in the first place, and Sony is looking to do this as well, games as a service and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to condone games as a service, but I want to kind of let people know the different types. You know what I mean? Sometimes you may get a really decent experience out of a games as a service, and not even know if you are even playing it. Hellscream. So, knowing this, could you give us a little bit more information regarding Path of Exile? Is that a games as a service game? Did you pay for it? Did you have to pay?
It fits the loose definition of games as a service, but it is a free to play game. Um, the, the reason why I would
Well, how
say
did they
something
get their
like that
money?
kind of
How did they get their money?
how do they get their money? Well, most of it comes from probably cosmetics. Now there are some items that you would want to buy that you don't have to, but for the price they ask and for the benefit you have, which are basically called stash tabs, which are essentially, a game like Path of Exile is about loot, about picking up a bunch of shit, right, and figuring out what to do with it. And Path of Exile has a fuck ton of loot. So while you don't have to, buying those stash tabs, and there's different kinds for different categories of loot, it is a huge quality of life increase. So it's kind of like it's they're kind of suckering you in to get it because like it would be very difficult to navigate all that loot without it. But I mean, for the amount of fun and the quality of the game, it is definitely worth the price of purchase.
You put a
In that
lot of
case,
fucking time in Path of
yeah.
Exile, like,
Um,
and you keep going back to it. And it's funny because no, it's not a prop. No, because we all have our games.
we'll have our poisons.
No, I just find you see how much he puts into it. I don't, so I just think it's funny. You like, man, this dude always on there.
Yeah, I see him and I'm like, damn. But he tried to get me on there. He tried to lure me in because he know I'm black and shit like that. He was like,
No, that was
no, that was
Diablo.
Diablo. That was
Diablo
Diablo.
a long time ago.
he was
Yeah.
like, Josh.
I was trying to get him to play the witch doctor. Yeah.
I was like, bitch,
So you
I
play
ain't
witch
fucking
doctor.
African. All right, continue, man. Continue.
But
It's the hair. You do look like Witch Doctor.
yeah, but I guess what I was getting at is um, to be specific on the topic here. So with something like Path of Exile, the reason why it works out so well is because it does fit the definition in that you're constantly getting content updates or game balancing improvements or whatever. And of course, it is all free, in terms of the content that they're adding. Now, what's great about Path of Exile is that, because how the game works, you have these leagues. So every time you have a new league, you have new content, you have balance changes, so on and so forth. And the thing that's cool is that, like, when a new league begins, because there's so much content added or because the balancing has been tweaked to such a degree, like it would make more sense to kind of have everyone kind of start over. And when you hear that, you're like, whoa, I put all this time, like, why would I want to start over? But it's the depth and the pacing at which you can kind of play the game is kind of at your own choice. So, like, you can start a new league, maybe play a character for like 2 to 3 weeks at most, and then kind of have your fun. And most people do. Now, if you want to, you can take things further and really, build up your character, or you can try out multiple builds or whatnot. But essentially, it's like a new league starts. You have your fun. You play it for maybe 4 or 5 weeks. Just depends on how crazy you are about it. and then you kind of take a break, right? It's like, okay, I've done everything. I've maxed out this new build, or I've tried the builds I want. You go, you play whatever you want to, and then 3 4 months later, a new league comes out, and then if it's up to your liking, you can kind of participate in that event. And in their case, most of the money they generate is from cosmetics and stash tabs and stuff. There's nothing that affects players in terms of their ability to get ahead of another. So anything that you purchase, it's basically quality of life, utilitarian stuff, or it's just cosmetic. So there's nothing that puts you at an advantage over the other players, which is great. But it's kind of cool because it's like you can play that game, have your fun, and then take a break, go and play other things, and then kind of go back to it. Whereas other games like the Elder Scrolls Online or Neverwinter Nights or maybe Warframe, I'm sure there are other examples where it's like most people, they'll play that for so long, and then like they may step away from it briefly, or when they step away it may be for a long time because it's like, oh, I haven't played in a month or so, and it's like I have to try so hard to catch up to everybody, or I'll have to drop some money to kind of speed up my progression or whatnot. So it's either like you stick to it or you don't. Um, and that's kind of the thing that I feel like people on the publisher side, when they see all the dollar bill signs, they don't realize that it's like, yeah, you're going to have a portion of people that are going to be dedicated to that game and play it continually, but other people that have a life or whatever are going to be like, man, fuck this, I don't even want to bother with this game. It's like, it seems cool, but it's like there's so much. It's like with Warframe. Like, I played
It's a
Warframe
job.
a lot. Yeah, it's basically like another job. I played Warframe after shortly after the PS4 launched, after I kind of had my fill with Kills on Shadowfall, and I had a lot of fun with it. But it's like, I think I maybe had went back to it once or twice, but after that, like, I haven't really touched the game. It's like I don't feel like going in there, getting the new Warframes, leveling them up, and then getting new levels, or getting the new weapons and then leveling them up, and then and then all the mods and shit you have to purchase and upgrade, and it's like it's just it's like I really like the game. I like the combat. I like the Warframe system. But it's like I don't want to fucking grind all that to play that. And it's almost like I wish there was like a single player Warframe,
Right,
out
right.
in the world.
Because it's
You
it's a
know,
it's a lot. It's a lot of
it's
work.
such a cool setting, but it's like I don't want to fuck with that,
It's
honestly.
way overboard. Let me
Mhm.
ask, Magnificent. All right, well, for me personally, I'm gonna ask everybody in here, what is the games as a service that goes wrong? Like, just one example. What do you think is a poor example of games as a service? Me personally, I haven't experienced it, but Assassin's Creed Valhalla and the predecessor to that game, you had to literally buy in order for you to actually progress in the story quickly. They was kind of coercing you to buy stuff so you could move along. It is a single player game. There was no real online element to it. And it's like every time you turn on the fucking game, you gotta log onto their server because they're clocking you essentially, and it's annoying. Um, Black, what is a poor example of games as a service?
Man, the first
Just
thing that comes to
just
mind
one
off rip
thing.
is Anthem.
Why?
Anthem. They put out the game. They had the base of the game. The gameplay was good. So they did some things right, but they didn't provide the content on time. So if you have a game as a service, your game dies without the content. You have to have content that's gonna keep everyone entertained. So
Yeah, I played that
without
for like
the
three
content,
weeks and then I never played it again.
and they were also a looter shooter. Their loot sucked. It pretty much sucked. It was the cosmetic, like Destiny
Why
did.
did it suck, by the way?
The loot for Anthem, the cosmetic, as far as the looks of the loot sucked. It didn't look good, so it didn't make you want to play for the loot. The actual loot itself, it wasn't really, nothing really was unique about it. They had like little modifiers on them here and there, but it was nothing like mind blowing. So you would get a legendary, and the only extra effect would probably be an extra hit or a little plus damage. It wasn't anything like when you get loot in Destiny, you got these unique ass weapons. It's unique, and they're kind of game changers in some cases. You know what I'm saying? As for example, so the loot wasn't really anything that. It was just that it would make you stronger. It wouldn't do anything else for you. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing that was exotic about it. and then they're supposed to be like legendaries are supposed to be when you get them, you're supposed to be like, oh my god, I got it. And then when you got them in Anthem, it was just like, okay, yeah, okay, try to get the next one. It was just simple,
Right.
just to do.
So with Spider-Man,
Yeah.
you had all these different outfits, right?
Mhm.
And they kind of made you want to use the different outfits, or at least put them on, or whatever the case is. And it's a shame because you have this game that was essentially like Iron Man, and you could have had so many pieces and things that you could have it could have made it so that you had to mine
Pay
the
for them
area.
all.
Well, no,
Yeah.
no, well, you have to mine the area to get the different parts for it. You know what I'm saying? And then you can put it on, and then you can make your own thing. The game concept fell up like the flying and the shooting was great. Everything else, like you gotta have a hook to bring people in, the carrot on the stick, so to speak. And it's a shame that the game really had a decent like how can I put it? It had a decent lore, and they just fucked it up. Uh, Jeremy, what is your poor example of games as a service, real quick?
I've never really liked any of them, so the only one I liked was Destiny, and that was before it was really a games as a service. So I don't really have a good example of a good one,
Well, why? Well,
really.
okay, so why did you like Destiny, and what went wrong? You mentioned earlier about it felt
The
like a
the
job.
shooting, it became a job. There was just too much shit to, you know what I mean? I couldn't play. I either had to play nothing but Destiny or just walk away from it because you're gonna fall. It's like I was constantly, as soon as they update it, then I gotta max all my shit out on all my characters again because I like to use all three characters. I had all my shit maxed out. I had all the weapons I wanted, but then I had all my community stuff and whatever, and the stuff they have weekly, monthly, all that shit, and the multiplayer. I had to do multiplayer, then strikes, then raids, and then all. It just becomes your whole life if you really want to be a part of
Enjoy
that
it.
game.
I feel like people like games as a service games, which is redundant to say this, to say the least, is because like they want to hang out with their friends and they want some kind of busy work while they hang out with their friends. I feel that's one of the reasons why it's successful. Terry, real
Yeah.
quick before we actually close out this subject, what is a poor example in your opinion for games as a service?
Well, since Anthem was already mentioned, I would probably say Fallout 76 is
Ooh.
another recent example.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that over infinite amount of time that the game's not a piece of shit anymore and it's not completely broken. But definitely that first, I don't know, 6 months, give or take, what a disastrous experience that was. Um,
They
now, I
try,
mean,
they try to charge people $100 for the
yeah.
season pass shit too. That's fucking
Now I
insane.
imagine now where it's at, there's so much time has passed and so many patches and so on and so forth. I imagine it's a decent experience. I don't really like this is just a tangent on my own, but I think something like Fallout 76 kind of goes against the kind of how Bethesda makes games, but that's another conversation. But yeah, Fallout 76 is definitely a good example that is recent of games as a service gone horribly wrong. And then eventually it becomes serviceable enough to where it's maybe worth putting some money in.
And it's
But
funny because we tried our best to try to give it, to try to give it some created some something as to why people play it. I honestly think that people like busy work, why they chill with their friends and stuff like that. Either they're escaping their wives or girlfriends or college or something they're escaping from.
That's true, and you don't
I,
have to worry
I
about paying no
will
money.
I will say when I will add a caveat to that is despite how fucked up a game may be, if you can create a system where the player feels like they are investing time and the time that they're investing that it's building towards something and that progression feels tangible and satisfactory, then that person, if that's what they're into, they'll be hooked into it for a long time.
Yeah,
um,
I mean, as
so
long as you create like a small section where you can level up and like hit the ground running, and it doesn't take forever. I think that's the problem with Warframe. It is way too much shit to do to get your mech up to speed. And I feel like if you could just divide it into like like almost seasons, like kind of like Path of Exile, you can probably have a home run. But like I said before, this subject isn't really about trying to make it look good or anything like that. It's just to kind of shed light on to there's many different types of games as a service. There's the right way of doing it. There's the wrong way of doing it, and everybody has experienced it before, whether it's you're paying for Xbox Live or PlayStation Plus, or doing some kind of free to play game. Or I mean, is it the future? It's probably going to end up being a situation where you too many of them try to grab your attention. You know what I'm saying? And and at that point
A
in
lot
time,
of them, most of them are gonna fail. I think.
yeah, it's gonna fail because of that. You know what I'm saying? The formula is too similar, and you're not doing anything new. Which kind of brings us to our next topic here. Actually, is indie games. Now, we all heard the same rhetoric that Sony doesn't care about indie games at all. Like they can't fucking stand indie games. They treat their indie developer partnerships like trash. You know what I mean? All
But
this
it's an
other
indie station, and
indie
they show indie
stations,
shows.
all
Oh
this.
my god.
Every time they have a state of play, there's always fucking what the fuck is these indie games and stuff like that. So my question to everyone. Let me see if I can get this shit right. Um, see here. I can't even see my own subjects here. Why are indie games hated? Why do people have so much hate for indie games? And my own personal take as to why people are so pissed off with indie games is that it just isn't innovative enough. Like you got like I mentioned this before, where there were a couple of indie developers that were pissed off at Sony because they couldn't be put, or they had to pay for advertisements and couldn't be put on front and center with games like Ratchet and Clank and Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and all of this shit. Like, it's how do you expect a fucking 2D side scroller game that you literally I used to pay a 2D scroller back in the day, so I want to literally copy that same thing and just make it a new skin. That ain't worth my fucking money. Like, if you can make another Mega Man game, I could just play a Mega Man game or have Capcom fucking remaster the shit and call it a day. I don't want a reskin situation. I have to pay money all over again for it, or if it's not innovative enough. The first thing I want to kind of really dive into is how did you guys feel about the state of play? Because that was mostly indie. So going to Mr. Jeremy, how did you feel?
Now that I've like gone back through and Arcade again was one of the ones I wasn't interested in, but after seeing uh, Persona play it and then hearing good stuff about it and then playing it, because that was like one of the two games I had no interest in. I actually really like it because they're indies and stuff, but knowing that it was an indie show, this wasn't a showcase. If they would have been like, "This is our showcase for the next year," I'd give it like a two. But knowing that this is just indies and some updates on some third party shit, knowing that, I actually really liked it because I'm not big into indies. I don't play a lot of indies, but I'm gonna get me Sifu. I'm gonna get me Fist. I'm playing Arcade again.
You gonna get
Like that's
fisted.
most of the indies on there. I'm gonna get a fist in the ass.
Oh man, I was like,
That look good. I'm gonna get that shit. I don't play a lot of indies, but those were good looking games.
it almost seemed like Sony specifically chose the
High quality indie
high
games.
quality indie games. Like, don't get pissed off if you're literally copying Metroid with a different fucking skin. You have all the same.
Nah, a lot of those indie games look like Super Nintendo games or Nintendo games.
Right, nobody's, and that's
That
why, and that's what I think to myself personally. That's why people fucking hate it. Like, I'm tired of seeing that shit. And you charge $15-$20 for that. I don't even want to pay $5 for this shit. You know?
I see what you're saying now. Yeah, it's like I'll just go on my emulator and play a fucking Super Nintendo game that I already know.
All right, Black.
You know?
Yo, what's your take? How did you feel about the state of play?
I wasn't excited. Like I talked to you before the state of play. I wasn't excited. Like so, my expectations were like zero. I saw some of the
Damn.
games that were like it was only one indie that I've been looking forward to. I mean, well, there's a couple, but the China Hero Projects games, and one of them was Fist, and I didn't think Fist was gonna make this show. So when I saw Fist, I got dumb excited. I was like,
You got
"Yo,
fisted.
it's yo, on God, like yo,
Oh
Forged in
God, the homo.
Shadow, Torch, my
Dead
dude,
ass.
like yo." I've been waiting for that game since they announced it, bro. So I was like, I got hyped as hell after that. I was like, yeah, man, this is a good show. It was an automatic like 9 for me. And then they showed Sifu, more gameplay of Sifu. You know, I'm down for that. Sifu looked dope as hell. Anything fighting related, I'm in there.
Yeah, you
Action
are.
looks amazing, bro. So yeah, Seafood looks good. I wasn't too hyped. The reason I wasn't too hyped was because of Deathloop, because I've seen so much of Deathloop
Yeah,
already.
that looked like
But
shit too.
I mean,
That killed it for me.
it
And
looks okay.
didn't they give you a
It looks
vibe
okay,
of,
but
but low key,
yeah.
hold on, real quick, didn't they give you a
It looked
vibe of
like an
like
indie,
trying to
but
be like Returnal a little bit, trying
I
to do that
mean,
Returnal thing?
kind of, but it looked like ass.
No, no,
I
I
mean, the whole
mean,
Groundhog Day type thing is you
Kind
know
of. It's a loop. You're in a
it's
loop.
it's just a loop thing. So I mean, I can't really say that Returnal invented the
I'm not
Groundhog Day
saying that
type
it
thing.
didn't. I'm not
They
saying
one of
it
the first
invented.
games that had the like yeah. I'm just it kind of yeah. If you think about the Groundhog Day type thing, then yeah. But at the same time, they got their own vibe. It's their own setting. It's definitely different. But I just first person shooters for me is like hit or miss. You know what I'm saying? So that with that game, I don't think I'm gonna get it day one, but I will get it eventually. You know what I'm saying? After I see some more of it or whatever.
I've already.
But I just wasn't hype. I'm just not hyped for that game. Not saying that it's gonna be a bad game or anything, but more people are into it than I am. But like I said, I'm more into the like
Uh,
the melee combat type style games.
I, I was less into it after seeing it again than I was before. I was like, I'll probably get that when I go down to 30 or 40. Now I'm just like, I don't know if I'm gonna ever get it. I just,
The animation. It's
Real
funny.
quick.
It's funny how
I was like, man,
animations.
this look all fucked up.
It's funny how animations could really kind of tell the quality of the game. It just, to me, the animations looked horrible to me.
Yeah, they
I
did.
just was not into it. I wasn't into it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
With the game, the Deathloop.
Deathloop. And then like when I played Guilty Gear excerpt, right, which is, I think that was the third entry on the PS4. Great graphics, but the animation was just not there. It didn't feel punchy enough and stuff. It just, I don't know. This animations are really big. Um, so Hellscream, did you see State of Play?
I did watch. I did kind of skim through it before the podcast.
Okay.
So yes.
How did you feel about it?
Um, I mean, I get it. I, I, and I kind of just, despite maybe people's animosity, I think it would be healthy for not just Sony, but just the video game industry as a whole to kind of have like the in between seasons. And what I mean by that is, you're not going to have a AAA, exclusive every month. Games are too big, they cost too much money, it takes too much time for that to be practical. However, in between those big releases, why not schedule, games that are, lower in budget, lower in scope, but can still be high quality. Something that's like maybe $40 or $30, then something around like 20 or 15. There's definitely a market for that. There's a place for that. Smaller things that people can digest within a shorter window of time, and maybe play two, three, four, these kind of smaller scope games before they move on to their next big hit or exclusive or whatever it is. Um, I don't have any negative thoughts about it. I mean, I'm not too crazy about indie games, but I think kind of moving into the
Why
future, it
not?
doesn't mean
Why aren't you crazy about indie games? And
it I guess in my case, like I've I've always been able to find something to occupy my time in terms of um, non-indie games, if that makes sense.
That's
Which
why I don't play a lot. I got too much stuff I've gotten dirt cheap that I just never. It was on my
right.
radar, but it wasn't high on my radar, and I
Mhm.
just and there ain't enough time in life to play them all.
I mean, sometimes there may be games that I want to go back to and do another playthrough. There may be games that I may have missed at some point, and it's like, well, I've kind of done everything in my, all the new games that came out. I've kind of gone through those, so like what could I play next, right? And sometimes I may go back and maybe a PlayStation Plus game deal or a special discount. I'm like, oh hey, this game's on sale. I was always curious to check it out, but I never get around to it. I may pick it up, you know. Um, so in my case, I've always been able to kind of fill my time with, your typical, $60 title. Of course, when I pick it up, it may be cheaper, maybe on sale or whatnot. Um, but that doesn't mean that I would object to the idea of getting into indie games. It's just there's so many of them, and it's kind of hard to discern, like, what's kind of worth the price of entry, or how fun something is. Also, it depends on what you, the player, are looking for. Are you looking for a skin deep kind of gameplay experience? Are you just looking for something to kind of occupy the time? It just depends on what mood you're in, and what kind of game you want to play or whatnot. Like in my case, as I've already expressed, I imagine, like, once I get to Returnal and Ratchet and Clank, and once I have my fill of that, um, I may jump into Path of Exile for a little while until the, like, director's cut for Ghost of Tsushima comes out, or whatever's coming out between August, September, October. Whatever's on PlayStation's list. Um, so in my case, I guess I've always had something to kind of fill the time. I mean, hell, there've been times where I've gone back and I've fucking played old games that from PC from years ago. Something that came out like in 2005 or 2006 or some shit. You know, um, so I've just never really been into indie games. Not because I have an issue with them, but it's like
They don't
I've always
really.
found something to occupy my free time when it comes
They
to gaming. So.
usually, and I will say this, usually when it comes to indie games, a lot of people associate it with being cheap. You know what I mean? A cheap experience, and it's like,
But they get Game Pass.
Well, there's a reason for that. So, as a conversation we had on our own, before, and we've had it many times over, is occasionally you have these kind of smaller, scope, smaller in price as well games, but games that can be a lot of fun, right? However, when you look at something like Steam Greenlight, or just kind of Steam, and probably the Epic Game Store now as well, since they are trying to control the market too. You have a lot of just shit that people are just throwing out there just to make a quick dollar here or there, and the quality is poor, and it's just kind of opening the floodgates and just letting anything through, and there's no kind of quality control there. Whereas on something like Xbox Live or the PlayStation Network, or maybe Nintendo comes up with anything, like, I would imagine there would be some quality control, right? Like I don't think PlayStation just wants any fucking indie game, just whatever slop rolls up on the fucking gutter, to be in their store,
see, and
you
that's the
know.
thing. The people, those selected, developers actually complained about being, they they make money on other platforms, and it's like, well, fucking stay over there, like the fuck.
But I
My
mean, wasn't, like, when Sony rearranged their upper management, like, sorry to interrupt, but wasn't, like, Shuhei Yoshida, like, wasn't he appointed to kind of focus on indie games,
Yeah,
or stuff on the
he
smaller
was.
scale?
Yep, he was. Yeah, and it's one of the reasons why, like, all things considered, the state of play to me was good because it wasn't just throwing any type of indie game out there. They were doing different things, and that's what I wanted to kind of say. The definition of indie games is made by an independent studio that doesn't have the budget to do like large things. Now that doesn't
Right.
immediately tell you that doesn't condone copy and pasting a fucking 2D side scroller and think you're just gonna get
Uh-huh.
money anyway. You got to do something innovative because again, when games are AAA games, they have a lot of budget and advertisement and quality to it and voice acting and all the other
Hmm.
shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem. You know, you come out here with a fucking 2D game, and even if you charge $2 to $5 on there, which most of them are like $9.99, that's not guaranteed. You have to do something else to combat the budget or that
You
the
better
other
have
games
some
have.
sweet combat or something.
Something, you know what I'm saying? So going to you, Jeremy, like, what do you think an indie game is? What would be a great indie game for you? Like, what would be the price point
Well,
and
technically,
a good indie game?
like beat 'em up games and stuff like that. To be honest, A Plague's Tale was an indie game. I don't remember who published it. That's a high end indie game, but that's an indie game. And that game, I remember. I think it was 39.99 when it came out. More than worth it. That was a great game. That's a great game. I'm playing it again, but I got so much I'm gonna play it right now, and I got it forever. So, or till Plus dies or something. So I'm not in a rush, and I've beaten it before.
So you
So
mean like games like what was it called again? What was the name of it?
Plague's Tale.
A Plague Tale, yeah.
Oh yeah, Plague's Tale Innocence. Yeah, that's actually
That's high end
for
quality
for
fucking.
what it's worth. That's a very pretty looking game for the
It is.
I have to
for
look
the
at. I have to
It's a
budget
look
it's
at.
very
on.
high. It's a very high end
I'm gonna
indie
write that
game, but
down
it
so at the end
is
of
an
the.
indie game.
I'm gonna look that up so I can.
You got it for free.
Well, I want to make sure. Let me take a look here.
That game feels triple A. I don't give
Yeah,
a
it
fuck.
does. It does.
That shit looks like they put tons of money into it, bro.
Yeah. I don't know
That's
what they put
at
into it, but
very least
the
a
voice
double A,
acting.
bro. 'Cause that shit look triple A. Oh
So
God.
what makes it an indie game?
They're an independent studio.
It's an independent studio. They probably just got a larger budget. You know, independent studio don't necessarily have to be like a low budget game. You know,
They made Microsoft Flight Sim too, but that was funded by them.
Okay. All right. So what would be a good price point for an indie game?
It depends on the indie game, but like I think Fist 24.99, right?
I didn't see the price for it, but okay. So isn't that like a side scroller?
it's $30. It's
It's
27 on PlayStation Plus.
All right. So I'm gonna move to Black
okay.
since this is your game. What makes you interested in it?
And this,
Yeah.
I mean, I always like beat 'em ups. Like,
Yeah, I
like
like
that,
beat 'em
that's
ups
my
too.
thing. My favorite fucking beat 'em up in the world is Streets of Rage 2, like throwback. You know what I'm saying? Final Fight type shit.
So
Um,
that's the
Yeah,
type of game that it
four
is.
four was
Is
25.
it multiplayer?
I believe it's only
Yeah.
one player. It's well,
Oh,
Fist looks like a one player game. I'm pretty sure it's a one player game.
And don't you
But
find that a little bit too much money? Like fucking almost
$27.
$30? Yeah.
I mean,
$27.
looking at the gameplay, that shit don't look too much. I would have paid 40 for that game. But that's just that's just me. You know, somebody else, everybody's value gonna be different. You know what I'm saying?
This is true.
It just
It's
depends.
a slippery
So,
slope
so
because
when
it's
I'm
like
looking at that shit, it's hitting plenty of notes, though. It got the fucking. I don't know if y'all remember the rabbit from fucking Ninja Turtles from the '90s cartoon and shit. But that's what that shit remind me of, bruh. And I fucking love that rabbit for some reason, dog. I forgot his name. But yeah, it was a fucking cartoon, like something about fucking
Yeah, the graphics
battle
in Fist. I'm
hardened
watching the
bunnies
trailer
or
right now.
rabbits.
It looked good as hell.
Yeah, it's something about some battle hardened rabbits or some shit, bro. I don't know what the fuck it is. That shit hit like notes for me, dog. I love that shit, bro.
this nigga.
Because it's
I
kind of
watch
like
a lot of cartoons.
So
it's just like rabbits are like you wouldn't think those is like visceral animals, though. So when you see one kicking ass, you're like, yo, that's dope. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
But I wanted to give a shout out to Little Nightmares. That's an indie game that I fucking love. That shit was dope. I don't know if y'all played that yet, but y'all should pick that
no,
up.
but the game that I'm
Fire.
looking for though, personally, is called what is it? The little devil inside. That I want that game.
Yeah, that
I
looked fire
like
too.
to me, I like 3D games. I was done with 3D games. I mean, with 2D games. The second we got out of 8-bit games, I was done with it.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but like it's. I mean, I've dealt with it too long. You know, I kind of want something innovative, and I think honestly that we need to really, we need to
Bro, this game looks so good. I'm watching the trailer on Fist.
we
Sorry.
need to change our definition of indie games. The second we think of indie games, side scroller, 2D game is the thing. When really an indie game is just a regular game that we normally play, but it just may not have the budget for voice acting or high caliber graphics and shit like that. You know what
Yeah,
I
I
mean?
mean, indie game. Technically, it's as you say, it's independent, right?
Right.
But I think
Yo, the
going
graphics in this
forward,
game though.
yeah, I think going forward, it would be nice to kind of change that the kind of definition or kind of identify like different categories in the sense you have a triple A, a double A, and a single A. And their kind of respective price points.
True.
Like something like I mean, I don't know how where it's at now in terms of how much they added, but it's like Rocket League. I remember playing that because it was free on PlayStation Plus, and I don't. I'm trying to think of what its original like selling price was. But it had to be like maybe $15 or $20 at most. It couldn't have been that much. But for something around $15 to $20, as that game was at launch, that game was fucking amazing and addictive. And it's like if you could have more games like that at that quality, between $15 and $20, like I would definitely be digging into those lower profile games more often.
Because
Um,
it sullies the fucking the game just being associated with indie. It's like, nah, I'm good. You know what I mean? It feels like a second hand. It's like going to like a thrift store and buying underwear. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Like, I mean, um,
well, if you
it's
think about
free
it too as an
ball at
indie
that point.
game, it's like it's a double edged sword. An indie game is like they're independent; they don't have to answer anyone, or answer to anyone. So it's like in a sense they can do whatever they want to. And sometimes you have these really brilliant games that come out because of that. However, there are times where you have people that they have no one to answer to. So when it comes to the quality control of the game, observing how things are done, or if it's up to par, or does it look impressive, like you have no higher authority to um, to kind of look at the preview of the game and speak to the people that are involved in the creation process.
Yeah,
So it's
and that's
it's
a
it's a it's
freedom.
a it's a very it is a very you know I can't think of the word, but it's a double-edged sword. But it's the polarization can, I guess what I'm getting at, yeah, the polarization can be very extreme. You can either have this brilliant game that with all these great ideas that probably wouldn't have happened with like
A
severe
triple A game
oversight,
because you have to
and then yeah,
curate
and
it.
then you have these other games that are just dog shit because there's no one there to uh, keep those people accountable, for
Right.
what's going on. Like, so, Cyberpunk's probably a good example.
Yeah, true.
You have, the studio did so good, they're just fucking running amok with their new special game, and then it comes out, and everyone's like, "Well, what the fuck?" Probably because there was probably the oversight or the accountability wasn't there because granted they did so well with their previous game, right? Who would think the game would turn out the way it did. So
Now, I see Psychos in here. Psycho Mantis, what's good, man? I see you muted. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I mean, the guy hasn't said anything since he's joined. So
Oh, he's muted. So I don't know what's going on with that one.
Okay, sorry, whatever. I was just trying to figure out what's going on. Paramedics are right across the street. Cops, fucking fire department, trying to figure out who shot who.
Were you
Fine,
were you
Jeremy.
the fuck? What state you in?
I don't know. Minnesota. I don't know what's going on. There's paramedics going up to a house and the fire department and the cops. This shit right across the
I
street. I can see
mean,
them all from my window.
it's not your house, is it?
No, no, I hope not.
Okay.
Take a picture,
I
yo.
ain't been upstairs, but they were walking across. They're right across the street. I can see them right out my window. So I was just trying to figure out what's going on.
I don't think you
Everybody
missed.
pulling up on my street.
Well, it looks like Psycho isn't really saying anything. Oh, he must be away from keyboard. So we're gonna move. We're gonna close out our gaming section. So definitely, if you haven't subbed before, definitely sub. Thank you so much for staying as long as you did for this hour. We are going to move on to our off-topic session, which I call Illicit Therapy. It's not gaming related, and it's just some shit I be having in my mind. And I actually wanted to talk to people that. And lately, I've been on this relationship kick thing where I'm just asking people how they are dealing with things. So, just be aware this shit is going to take a hard turn for the last bit of the show. And that's how this is how this is going. Just so you can get an idea of who everyone is, a little bit deeper into personal personalities and stuff like that. Shoot, my topic It's about relationship roles, and the first person I want to talk to about this shit is Magnificent Black,
Oh shit. What's the question, bro?
because you have the most um non-dysfunctional relationship so far. No offense, Jeremy, but you already put it out there that your shit is chaotic right now. So I am in the agreement with with um with biology, and that men and women are completely different. We're not the same. And I do believe that we have roles. That being said, would you agree, Mr. Black?
I agree with it partially.
Partially. Why partially?
I mean, the role things like yeah, I agree with it
Hot or
on a
cold?
you know what I'm saying? Either hot or cold. Nah, I agree with it. I agree with it. I mean, I think there's differences. I mean, there's exceptions to it depending on what the situation is. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's situation ain't the same, so there's other factors that could come
What
into play
the fuck you?
where somebody else got to step
What
up.
people
Or
are
the
dating?
general got
People are
to go here.
dating different species. Like it should be across the board. You act a certain way. It is what it is. I'm
Well, are you talking about like in the role where the male is the provider and the woman is the caretaker type thing at the crib? Or is you talking about like that? Because I'm saying there's situations where that can't, where things change. You know what I'm saying? Depending on the situation, where one has to step up and take over the other's role, depending on what the fuck's going on. You know what I'm saying?
This is true because of the
Like I
stuff
said,
that we.
there's exceptions. Yeah.
This is true because of the stuff that we put ourselves in. I feel like honestly it didn't need to be that way, but I feel like each person in a relationship has their role,
Hmm.
and it needs to be fulfilled, or else there's an imbalance. My shell, my mortal shell, that is a male, can cope with only certain things. Likewise, a woman can only cope with certain things. Place a woman in a super stressful situation, and the part of her that is supposed to be the nurturing part, which needs or requires emotion, right? It finds it hard to cope with that. And there's been a lot of statistics regarding it. It's hard to cope with the amount of information and stimuli when it comes to the real world. Whereas a male could turn that shit off and do what he needs to do. Take a look at war, for instance. Can't worry about everybody that died on the battlefield. You have to keep pressing on. There's an objective. And if you're too emotionally invested in it, you won't be successful at all. Um, so with this role reversal, when you have females, women doing things that is out of the nature of their biology, it just it. I feel like a man needs to be a provider, and I feel like a lot of the issues that we are going through nowadays is because either role reversal or we're trying to break out of something that we are tethered to. Would you agree or disagree?
I mean, yeah, in most cases, but if you look at this shit from a numbers perspective, there's a lot more women than men. So even if every woman on this earth, even if every man went and chose a woman, there still be women without. So they still have to. Some of them have to provide for themselves, right? Are you in agreement with that?
They would have to because of they have
Right.
to evolve with the
Right.
situation
And
or
I think
adapt
that
to the situation rather.
that's not the case now. Or that's not the case now, of course. And then there's still plenty of men out there that's looking for women. But I think that the numbers, of course, are lopsided as fuck. Like they, it should be a lot more. I mean, I don't know, man. It's kind of looking at social media and shit. It kind of throws shit off, man. There's a lot of women in relationships. It's some people just don't. They don't deserve or need to be in a relationship because they ain't got their life right yet. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
either or. It doesn't matter if it's man or female. They just don't. They're not relationship material. I'm gonna
Right,
go
right.
to Jeremy.
Okay.
Do you believe in the biological role in a relationship? A man doing the provider, protector thing, and a woman being a nurturer,
Damn, now you
supporter.
cutting out.
I'm not cutting out, dude. You are. Can you
Nah,
hear me?
I didn't hear him cut out, Jeremy. It might be
Oh, okay, now I can.
I said when it comes to relationships, right? Do you believe in the biological order of things where the man is the provider and protector and the woman is the supporter and a nurturer?
Yes and no, but because sometimes dad die, mom went to jail, whatever the hell happened.
Under normal circumstances.
Under normal circus, yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, and today is most like I'll give you an example. Like my grandpas and shit. Both my grandpas, when my grandmas died, they had to go. They be eating on TV dinners. You know why? They don't know how to cook. They don't know how to do laundry. They don't know how to do shit. Like I'm used to be. I didn't get married till I was almost 30, so I've been cooking since I was like 8. I know how to do laundry. I don't need nobody to take care of myself. You know what I
You hear
mean?
that, ladies? He don't need no woman. He an independent, strong
I'm just
Oh,
not
I
that
know
good
what
at
white
you
baking,
man.
but I can
saying,
bake that
Danny.
shit.
He an independent, strong white man. Go
Jeremy will listen to that Destiny Child, but
Yeah, but I mean, I think you know what I mean because a lot of people like, oh, I won't do this if I'm a man, or I won't do this if I'm a woman. You got to be able to take care of yourself too. But there's more natural strengths on the different chromosomes.
Now I'm gonna talk to a single bruh man, which is the house cream. What is your take in the different roles of a relationship? It's about to
Well,
get deep right now. I'm gonna tell you right now. I just wanna I had to lighten this up.
uh, well, it first off, it kind of depends on the individual in the sense that the culture you're raised in, the community, religious belief or lack thereof. Um, there are many contributing factors, but I think what is easily observable through human history is that the man has a function and he has a category of attributes that he
Mm,
can, if applied correctly, he can be very effective at certain things. Same thing applies to a woman. When you look at actual like studies and observations of, how men and women, behave in certain situations, their respective functions within the household and the family, as well as their community, nation, so on and so forth. It's very clear that men are effective and great at certain things, and women are great and effective at certain things. But those things, of course, are very are different within their respective roles. Um, Now, the idea of a man being the breadwinner to go out, bust his ass, to get money, pay the bills, put a roof over everyone's head, and the woman kind of being the nurturer, the caretaker. um, I know people, in the past, 10 years of the modern age want to say these are all social constructs and they're just fabrications and we should tear them all down and so on and so forth. To do that, you're neglecting basically the entire known history of human civilization, going back to just small villages and communities. You know,
Let me just pause
um,
you. Let me
it,
just pause you there. Just hold that thought because there's a reason why those social constructs exists. You know what I mean? It wasn't just made up. People fell into their roles. Would you agree?
yes, I would agree with that statement.
All right, continue, please.
Um, but yeah, you would be kind of neglecting and ignoring, even when you look at a good example would be the kind of Greco-Roman civilization time period. You had a lot of men and women that were, had different, sexual proclivities. They were homosexual, bisexual, whatever. Um, but there was still this idea that masculinity has a role to play and has its functions within the community and the feminine side of things as well. Um, it's of course, in today's world, it's kind of unpopular, with certain groups. But you have to think of it like this: if it didn't work, if it wasn't effective, uh, mankind as a species wouldn't be doing it. People, even from today or in the ancient past, humans are fairly smart. They have a brain, they have an intellect, and they can figure out real quickly if shit works or shit doesn't. Um, I mean, describe to me a nation or a civilization that ever became successful, or stable or functional without, having strong family units, right? At its core. Please, describe to me or show me an example of that. It doesn't exist because without a strong functioning family unit, a civilization will it'll be a stillbirth. It'll die in its very
It
conception.
collapse. Now
It won't get anywhere.
I will say this, right? I seen this video on Twitter where a guy was actually helping. It was a grandfather. And he was taking his grandson out to fish, right? Fine, great. Taking his son out to fish, and his son was so afraid of earthworms, like he flipped out. He started to dry heave because he had to touch one. And as we know, if there was a generation of men like that, oh, we wouldn't make it. We wouldn't make it. We wouldn't make it at all. And people don't want to really admit to this shit. There is something within within the male genetics, testosterone, etc., right, that makes us competitive. And I remember, I'm not gonna lie to you, the first time I went fishing when I was like 23 years old, one of my friends, he caught a fish, right? And then he threw it back, and I caught a fish, and I had to be tasked with picking that bitch up. Now, I lived in a house full of women, totally full of women. So it wasn't like I had an idea as to how to act. I did know that I didn't want to touch that bitch. I knew that much. I was like, fuck this shit. But my instincts was like, I have to outdo him and show that I'm not weak. It's built into a man to do that.
Yeah.
So I grabbed that little nigga by the fucking mouth and was like, yo, look at this. And in reality, I was like, oh God. But I didn't say it. But I grabbed that bitch. It was slimy and it was bony and that shit was piercing through my fucking hand because of the fucking bones that they had on there. That shit was all sorts of fucking nasty. And I grabbed that shit. I was like, yo, look at this. Yo, I almost slipped. Yo, it's crazy. You know what I mean? Oh, let me throw that bitch back. And I threw that shit back. I was like, ew. So, but.
What's up, man? My bad.
What's
Shit
going
got
on?
hectic.
Nigga, to me, what's cracking, nigga?
What up?
That's good,
My
bro.
bad, man. You know, nigga, I'm usually on fucking time, but goddamn,
Yeah.
family leaving, didn't get back to work and shit is hectic. This shit is fucking retarded, dude.
We talk about some interesting shit right now. We talking about
Yeah, I got a story when you're done that's very similar to yours. Now that you mentioned that, I just had some childhood drama come back to me.
Now I will say this, right? I
don't even know if I want to know what we talking about. We got childhood drama coming back on niggas. Oh,
So I'll paraphrase. We're talking about the biological role of a relationship and how men is innately a man and a woman is innately a woman. And we can't do we can't role swap because we're not built that way. You know, women have a hard time with societal pressures. You know what I mean? Because their minds are trying to nurture and have the emotional component where we are not emotionally inept. As men, we turn that shit off. Like in war, if things were blowing up and your fucking your fucking teammate dies. You know, we're not gonna be, oh my God, please wake up. You can't, you're gonna die. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You can't. And as a woman, that will fuck her up because she's built emotionally. You know what I mean? To see
yeah.
that shit, you can't roll flip flop. And I was saying before, I was raised by women, and when my friend took me to go fishing for the first time when I was 23, he was fishing. He was used to that shit. He pulled that fucking fish, caught one, looked at that shit. Nah, that shit fucked up. Threw that shit. I caught one, and I had to man up. There's something built inside of me that was like, I don't want to touch this bitch. This shit look nasty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I something the chemicals was like the testosterone was competitive. It's like I gotta show this nigga that I'm not a bitch. No one told me to do that shit. You know what I mean? So I grabbed that fucking fish, right? And I was like, yo,
Yeah.
that shit crazy. Grabbed him by the mouth. And really in my head, I was like, oh God. Oh God. But I didn't let him know that. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? So you know what I mean? So that's what you walked into. So um you ever notice the more we try to go against the grain with our nature? uh, I'm gonna say something controversial. Fuck it. You got a lot of bisexual or gay or lesbian, right? Homosexual. And if you ever notice that when they feel like they're masculine or feminine, they are a parody of what they're trying to emulate or how they feel, I guess if you want to call it that. Like, you know what I mean? When you meet a woman that's trying to that feels like she's masculine and she wants to be, a gay.
the butch and the
I mean, I don't
whatever.
want to say it like that, but yeah, she's like a parody of a man. Yo, what's good, fam? Yo, for real. She opens her legs, yo, yo, what's good, fam? For real though, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not how we act all the time. That's not how we really. It's an exaggerated form of it. It's unnatural, and I hate to say it, but it is. We don't act like that. It's like it's always turned to 10. You know what I mean? The same thing with a feminine male. He's like, I went to the store, bitch, and that's not how women act. You know what I mean? The nuance for that. What they're trying to act like is or be is exaggerated. It's gone. There's no nuance. It's just the on or off. You know what I'm saying? So I guess my question here, I'm gonna go to Magnificent Black on this one. What do you feel the roles ideally in a relationship should be for a man and a woman?
Ideally, I
Ideally.
mean, I can tell you what it'll be ideally for me. For me, I don't want my wife to have to work. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I have to consider her feelings. Like my wife, she's of the new. I don't want to say new age, but she's of the women who feel like they're independent. Who she's a hard worker and she does. You know what I'm
Where
saying?
you
So
guys get all
right
this?
now, I'm taking care of her. She doesn't have to work, but she wants to work. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's the situation right now. I can't stop her from doing that. She's free. You know what I'm saying? Just because she married to me, I can't fuck. You want to go out of that? She don't want me controlling the bread. They'll say that's what it comes down to the end of the day. Like I got control of the bread. I pay the bills. It is what I say goes type thing. So when she don't want that, she's like, man, I gotta make my own bread. Fuck this nigga. You know what I'm saying?
But
So,
let's say, but here's the thing. Let's say that you were like a whole ass. You made like six figures, right?
mhm.
So you made $200,000. You don't have a kid, so you don't have to worry about tuition or anything like that. But let's say you made $200,000 a year, right? Do you think that she would want to work at that point if you can completely satiate all of her financial needs?
Mm, it's hard, man. I mean, people
I
get
think most women would.
yeah. Most women, I would say, want, but they don't want to work.
They
But like at the
would.
same time, they want
I'm
something to do.
telling.
Yeah, most women, I would say, look, you can, even if you watch like the Kevin Samuels show, they all of the women and they basically say, I want a man that's gonna take care of me. You know what I'm saying? So you see that all the time on his show. I know you watch that show, and
Hmm.
I think most of them don't want to work, but at the same time, I feel like they do get bored. Like my wife good. You know what I'm saying? She don't gotta work, but she be at the crib bored.
But think about,
she bothering me on my free time. I'm like, yo, I need to play my game, yo.
But let me
Like,
ask you this though. But hold on. Let me ask you this though. Here's the thing. I'm gonna pass it to Killer Tay on this one. I want to have his input.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that's interesting about this, right? Society is telling women that they need to go out and get their own bag and all this other shit. So let's say we remove all social media. I wonder how a woman would be, because they used it the most, social media. I wonder how they would be if you removed all social media. Would they really, really want to get out that bag? Would they be more traditional if you took that away? Because they don't have anybody telling them what to do at that point in time, you know?
Media in general, if we remove media in general, I mean, we have to, like I said, they need to be another great collapse for that to happen, for us to even theorize on this shit. But like, you got all this media commercial,
blow that shit up,
telling women that they gotta have a certain thing, they gotta look a certain way, and then when you start thinking that way, bro, they already got, bro. You know what I'm saying? They got all they looking at these TV shows. That happens, dude. I get in arguments with my wife because she looks at a fucking show, these reality TV shows, and somehow that brings a certain energy to her. So she's like, "Oh, why you don't never do this?" I'm like, "Yo, stop watching that fucking show," because they don't know it, but they that energy goes into them, and then somehow she's like, "Oh, why you don't never do this for me?" I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I just did like
you be like, "Yo, let me ask you a question." You be like, "Let me ask you."
That shit that you watching is staged.
You be like, "Let me ask you." You be like, "Let me ask you a question." Before you watch this show, were you happy?
Exactly, dog.
I mean, shut the fuck up if you were happy.
Our relation, cut that shit off.
Is this a competition? Like everybody gotta be the same? What
Yeah.
the fuck?
I'm gonna smooth move to Killer Tay, yo, and ask him a few questions since you're here, late little bitch. But that motherfucker was meat to meat. That's what happened. Talking about some family things.
Yeah, and this goddamn JOB, they fucking me hard.
Oh Jesus! Oh God! What do you think the roles of a relationship is for a man and a woman? So let's start off with a male. What is the role for a male, and ideally?
Ideally, in a perfect world, the man is supposed to provide and protect his woman and family, right?
Okay, stop. What about female?
Female is to make sure the home is secure while the man is away.
What does that mean exactly? Make sure it's secure.
Clean, cook, take care of the kids.
So,
when the man come back home, you work together.
Okay, I'm gonna say something controversial.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you really realized that a lot of women seemingly are extremely needy with their attention? Like it's almost childlike.
Oh yeah.
Because of TV.
No. Take that away. Take that away. It's almost like, take care of me, snuggle with me, hold my hand. You know what I'm saying? It's all these things. Not saying anything's wrong with it, but it's all those things. If you really peep that shit, right? It's all those things. And it's like if it's a child, you kind of have to be the overseer of that child. And I hate to say it, back in the day, and it sounds fucked up though, but if a man is providing you money and protection, what is the woman supposed to do? Should they not have kids at that moment? Since he's working,
probably not. How's she gonna take care of folk? How's she supposed to take care of something happened to them?
Since she's getting the stuff, since he's giving her the money and giving her the protection, she has to give him something. What is it that she's supposed to give him?
Mental support.
What is
She's
that?
Supposed to feed him.
What is
and
that?
Supposed to give him fucking.
You said feed him?
I
Okay,
mean,
I'm listening. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Keep going.
She's
Keep
supposed
going.
to fucking. I mean, if the man is giving all this protection, if that man is supposed to fucking jump when another nigga fucking disrespect her and she expect that man that she's with to go check that nigga, she's gonna want that, right? So if I ask her, hey, go in there and fix me a sandwich, there should be no back talk. There should be go fix me a fucking sandwich. She should be in there fixing daddy a motherfucking sandwich.
On God, dead ass. So
Yeah.
here's the thing, right? It almost sounds like you want a servitor.
What do you mean? That I want a server?
Servitor, somebody that serves you.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily. What, you talking about the woman?
No.
Or just me, myself?
We are going to call a fucking spade a spade. I am tired of the pussyfooting around.
Hold up. No. Because you
right.
confusing me.
I get
You
it.
asked me
I'm not
open
confusing you. I am being very
I
specific.
answered it open.
I'm not. No.
You
I'm
didn't,
not.
no. You asked me an open question, and I answered it openly. Nigga, we not finna do this shit like you do the motherfucking PlayStation, Xbox shit.
No, there is a reason why. There is a reason why I'm saying this, because we were going to call a spade a spade. I am not saying that you are wrong at all, because that's what the spade is. That's what it is. If I'm protecting you, giving you money, what are you doing for me?
Yeah, because if I'm not doing all that, she's not gonna want to do anything for me, right?
She ain't going. But like, what else? What else? What can you do for me if I'm already providing you with the money? And shit
I think the word you're looking for
hold
is
up.
reciprocity.
First, what type of women are we dealing with right now? Are we dealing with a working woman that works part time and then still takes care of home, cook, clean, and children? Or are we just talking about a woman that don't fucking work at all?
No,
because then it's a different answer.
No, I said ideally, because again, if you were making and you make a good amount of money, but like somebody's making like the man by himself making $300,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't have to work. Her little fucking ducats and pennies is inconsequential to the relationship. She's gonna have to do something. We're talking about ideally. If the guy is supposed to be the provider, be the provider in its entirety. So Hellscream, as well as me, we're Christians, and I'm not saying that Christian is the right way, but in a lot of these older teachings, it follows the biological what do you call it? The biological stance on things.
Yeah. What
is the Christian definition of what a woman should do, or what should a woman do in the Christian perspective?
It's kind of simple, really. As the man is designed to be the leader, the headship over his household or domain, the woman is designed to be a companion, to be a helper. I'm sure, as you guys all know, whether you subscribe to it or not, Eve was taken out of Adam. A rib was taken out of him. So the idea that even if you're like a Jordan Peterson, you look at it from like a psychological thing or whatever, the woman is essentially quite literally a part of the self that is the man, right? And so with the two of them, they make a whole, so to speak. Two become one flesh or whatnot. So in the sense that if the man is, being the breadwinner, paying the bills, putting a roof over their heads, providing that protection, being a guardian, not just for the woman but for the kids as well, then naturally the woman would reciprocate, but in what her function is, as being the nurturer, the caretaker of the household. As well as being a supporter for her husband, providing him emotional, moral support. Obviously, the desires of his flesh, providing that as well. But I mean, in a sense, the husband does that. Is in the sense as well. Husband does that for his wife as well. Ideally, you would have a situation where because people kind of a certain demographic of people will take this the wrong way, but people underestimate, at least in the Judeo-Christian worldview, that while the man is the leader of the household, the woman, like her dominion is the household, and that she's in charge of maintaining it and keeping it. So in a sense, the husband, while the husband is the leader of the family, he has to submit to his wife's authority in the sense of kind of running the household as being that caretaker, of that safe haven.
Right.
So it's with each there is a function, and there is a I'll just use a superhero terminology here. The woman has her powers and the man has his, and the woman is always going to be exceptionally more effective at the caretaker, as a caretaker, as a nurturer, than a man can ever hope to be. And of course, a man has his functions within the household. And if people kind of viewed it in that sense, I think it would be easier to digest. It's not that man is taking the role of leadership because he's superiority and his wife should be beneath him or whatever. It's the sense that man is designed to lead. He is designed to withstand stress, punishment, pain, all that stuff. But having a strong woman behind him to support him, emotionally, the desires of his heart, the desires of his flesh, that man even becomes even more powerful, in that regard. There's an old saying, behind every good man is a good woman, right?
Right.
So, that's kind of a very brief but kind of conceptual framework of if things are done in that manner, you have a strong, stable household, family unit, so on and so forth.
Now, I will say this, right? Um, like for instance, your place of employment, there's ranks and stuff like that. But at the same time, I don't believe that anyone's better, because I do exceptionally well at my job. Without me, my manager can't do what he's supposed to do. So what he's supposed to do is to make sure that I have my mind in the game and correct, right? He's supposed to compensate me properly, and I'm supposed to help him run that organization, in exchange. So the man provides the things, and the woman maintains them. I have to live in it too, and that's her domain as to keep it in order. A woman usually in the household is really good at having orderly things and cleanliness and stuff like that. And I feel like we are so far away from that. You cannot be what you want to be. As much as people want to say it, you can't. You cannot do what you want to do. I cannot ever be I can't be a perfect fucking lion. There's no fucking way. I'm not designed to be one. And there's too many people in this world that believes that I can be this or I can be that. We are built differently. Men are more rugged than women, but emotionally unavailable. We are stronger than women, but don't have the finesse of a woman. A woman can manipulate and have the finesse to do a lot of different things without the strength. So it's a yin and yang situation, and it's too much of this. I just want to take over a different role when you're not designed to do it, unfortunately. And I kind of wanted to put that out there. Now we're gonna close this show out with my man Jeremy. What was that story that you wanted to say?
Yo, okay, so you got to know my old man. I was brought up on discipline and manliness and all that shit. Like, for example, if I talk about like my dad says my name like Jeremy, and I say what, don't fucking what me. Like I'm still to this day confused of what I'm supposed to answer with, but he considered that disrespectful. So I just still don't have not asked him to this day why I can't say what.
Say yes
But
sir or yes ma'am.
yeah. So
Like,
so so right. So we're fishing. Like for my first time fishing, I'm like 4. I'm like 4 or 5 years old, right? And he's like, take the fish off. I didn't want to take the fish off. I'm like 4. I was scared of it. He's like, take the fucking fish off. Right? And I'm like scared. And I got to quit being a pussy. and take the fucking fist off. And he got so pissed off. Look at this fucking. And he squeezed it in his hand, bit the head off that motherfucker, and crushed it in his hand. He got big ass hands. And then he threw it
Damn.
in the water and told him, "We're fucking going home
God.
until you man the fuck up."
And that's the funny thing though. Like, I mean, that's a bit that's extreme. I get it, but
Jeremy never fished again.
and I never fished again.
I
No.
I got a question for the panel too.
Yeah.
It's the dealing with the how women perceive some of the dudes. It's deal with transsexuals, right? All right. We was asked this question last night, me, Fatal, and we were talking to Tron about it, right?
Oh boy.
And I was asking the question, right? I was like, okay, what's the difference between a male being gay and a transsexual male to female being gay? I mean, the only difference is one went and had the surgery to get breasts, but they both still have their dicks.
And she said,
Yeah. And the reason why they came up is because I seen a video
excuse me?
of women, same women that backed the males trying to be females, right? I seen a video of this one lady being pissed off because a transsexual male went into the spa where they were undressing and his dick was swinging in front of 16, 15-year-olds, 12-year-olds, and adult females in there, and they felt uncomfortable. And I was trying to get this point to Tron, but she said she would be okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was
Okay.
like, okay, what is your view on
Allegedly.
a man? Yeah, allegedly. And I was like, what is your view on a man hitting a woman? She was like, yeah, that's fucking terrible.
Mm-hmm.
He should, yeah, I was like, and I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
So why is society letting these male to females fight in UFC against women and breaking their fucking? No, that's different because I was like, no,
Women's
it's not
sports a
different.
joke now.
It's not different because it's still a fucking man. He still has man, even though he's taking hormone pills, he got fucking fake titties or didn't get titties at all. He's still a fucking man.
But the
And he's
hormone
beating
therapy,
women.
they take it for a
Nah.
year, and then it
Nah,
already, right? When a person
Yeah.
gives birth, and that child is already established with the XY chromosome, it already sets in motion tougher skin, denser bones, stronger muscle capabilities. No, it doesn't matter if you pump the person full of estrogen. All they're gonna have is stronger bones, tougher skin, with some titties,
And his dick swinging.
and his dick swinging or chopped off.
And to be honest, not 90% of the male to female don't get their dick chopped off. So
know
they
better.
basically a gay man
and drag
pretending to be a woman.
and drag.
Yeah.
I said this earlier. When you got homosexuals, right? The LGBT, because they are not built that way, their shell won't allow them to be 100% what they want to be, because the chemicals, no matter how much you feed that, like the chemicals in the body, it's already formed. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Change the structure.
How about those men dudes fucking taking all the weightlifting championships away from bitches?
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
that's what
The thing about
that's what I was saying.
the thing about being
Yeah.
liberal, right, is that it doesn't make sense at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, you can sit there and say all day, I'll be okay with it, right? It's still a fucking man in the bathroom
Yeah. With his dick swinging.
with his dick swinging.
with your
a
little
pair-
daughter in the bathroom with him.
With your little
Yeah.
daughter in the bathroom. But you agreed to this. You wanted this way. No matter how much you sit there and say it. I had the same thing happen in the gym. This bitch ran out the bathroom. Excuse me, I don't want to be rude, but there's a man in the bathroom. They was like, oh shit. Well, he's transgender, but
Yeah,
I just
that's
felt
exactly
uncomfortable.
how it went.
Nah,
This is a
bitch.
black.
No, you
This
wanted
was a
that.
black female. Oh, this
You
was a
wanted
black
that.
female that did it, so she was extra with it. She was
You
like,
know the
"Hey,
funny. Well, you know what
why
the
is
funny
this
thing.
one?"
You want to know the funny thing about the black community?
Yeah,
They're so quick. Some black women are so quick to say, oh, that nigga gay. I already know he a download nigga. He's a download nigga. That really he don't want to take care of a woman. He just wants
Yeah.
to be. He just want to be a download nigga, right?
yeah,
You can't keep saying that though in this world, because your ass will get canceled. That's homophobic. But that's what they wanted. They wanted a real man. They want to have gay girlfriends, right? Or guys that are gay and be like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? That guy, oh my God, and all this other stuff. But then you shame the other side or try to make accusations that he's gay to belittle him. That shit ain't gonna fly anymore. And it's mostly the black community doing that, black women. But moving from that, that's why I wanted to kind of talk about the roles. You can't, they're a parody of what they're trying to emulate. Just because you feel like you're a girl, you're not biologically. So what you're going to do, you're going to attempt to emulate it because you're not. If I feel like I'm a fucking dog, I'm not a dog. I don't have the nose for a dog. I don't have the teeth. I don't have the fucking digestive tract. I can't eat the shit that a dog would eat. I can't. You know what I'm saying? I can try to emulate it. That's why it looks weird when you have that and
Be
they're
right back.
emulating it. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to emulate it, so it's like a heightened version. It's like an exaggerated version of what they're trying to emulate because they're not. They're not. Sue me. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, I don't know what else to say. You can't be it. You can't be a woman. You can't be a man. You can't. Once you are established, you pop out the fucking womb, you are that. You can feel like whatever all day and all night. That's what you are.
yeah. You can go out and pretend all you want, but still, what
That's
you are.
offensive. I am not pretending. I am. No, you're not.
You still have your penis.
Even
Thank
if they
you.
didn't
You're
have
a
their
man.
penis, they had it at one point. All you did is chop it the fuck off. I saw a
But
picture. I saw a picture.
90% of them still have theirs.
I saw
So
a
it's
picture
like
of.
a
I saw a
small
picture.
percent
I
of the
bet it's
motherfuckers
more
that
than
do.
90%.
I saw a
It
picture.
probably is.
I saw a picture of Ellen Page.
Yeah. Ellen Page.
Ellen
That
Page.
bitch is a woman. She's just an ugly woman.
And you're still a woman. You just chopped off your breast and enlarged your clitoris. You cannot procreate like a man. You are still going to go through a menstrual cycle. And if you pump the hormones to stop that shit from happening, other things happen to your body because you are still a woman. You lose density of your bones. You know what I mean? When you have all these different hormones, you can't. I don't understand why you just can't accept yourself for who the fuck you are. Sometimes I don't fucking want to be black. Sometimes I don't. I'm being honest. Sometimes, and I say this, not that I want to be a different race, but I say that sometimes it's irritating. Not because of police or anything like that. Sometimes it's the hair. I'm like, man, shit is fucking irritating. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever the fucking case is. But eventually, that's when I was younger. I can't say I feel that way now. But when you get older, you have to learn to love yourself. You have to learn to accept who you are eventually. Instead of you trying to be something the fuck else, like Michael Jackson snipped his fucking nose off and lips and added a fucking cleft and all this other shit, you was still black. That looks fucked up because you died, you know what I mean? All the other shit. But anyway.
Yeah.
That being said, I hope you guys enjoy it. I mean, I understand.
What up, man?
Understand what this show is, right?
Nah, I've been here. I'm getting ready to go. Yeah.
Understand, right, that this show is called the No Filter Podcast. It is going to reach these things where we're not trying to filter ourselves. Some of this shit in this day and age needs to be reversed, coursed. It's ridiculous. It's getting out of control. It is. So, you know, this is a place where I want people to be able to have these particular discussions without having to censor yourself. Pretty sure that YouTube is probably going to eventually snipe everything that's
Ban.
like this. So, but
Ban.
until then, but thank you guys for sitting out with me this Saturday. I really, really appreciate it. Didn't expect to get this many viewers at this point in time. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more content like this, because we do this shit all the time. Thank you, panel, for joining this channel. Thank you for making this.
My
shit.
apologies for being late again.
This is cool. You're black. So thank you so much.
Racist.
I'm calling a spade a spade. But thank you guys for really joining in. I appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button.